Hello and welcome to another Joe Nakamoto interview. This conversation formed part of my research into the documentary I made called How to Spot Crypto Scams. Please check out that video on my other channel and feel free to share it with a friend who is new to crypto. Enjoy the interview.
So your name is Robin. Please talk to me. What is Liquidium? What problem does it solve?
Yeah, Liquidium is a peer-to-peer borrowing and lending protocol on Bitcoin, where you can use your ordinals, runes, BRC20 tokens, and basically all Bitcoin assets as collateral and borrow and lend native Bitcoin against it. So right now we only support ordinals, but rune support is coming soon. BRC20 support is coming after. But basically the idea is that like in the real world, you can use any like a house or even sometimes art as collateral to borrow against it.
Of course.
But on crypto with NFTs, like now you also can with some other protocols on like Ethereum and so on. But on Bitcoin, we didn't have that until sort of we built it. We started way back in February of 2023. So now you can collateralize your ordinals, borrow against them. Or you can be a lender, lend out your Bitcoin, earn a yield where like the yield actually comes from the borrowers, and then sort of like, yeah.
Wait, so you're answering the question of where does the yield come from? Is that what you're directly addressing?
Yeah, because
Okay.
everybody, like, there are so many protocols where like you don't know where the yield comes from and so on. For us, it's really clear. You have one borrower, one lender. The lender is giving native Bitcoin on layer one to the borrower. The borrower gets the Bitcoin and they pay back more Bitcoin. So the lender earns native Bitcoin as a yield and lends out native Bitcoin.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty clear.
Okay, because there are of course centralized services that you can do this with just regular Bitcoin, whether it's Ledden or BlockFi went defunct, but those. Whether it's am I okay here or yeah? So there are of course projects like this for real Bitcoin, for normal Bitcoin, whether it was Celsius or Ledden or BlockFi, a lot of them went under. How are you ensuring you're not going under?
Yeah, so in our case, again, it goes back to peer-to-peer loans. So there's really like we as a platform are only connecting borrowers and lenders.
Okay.
So essentially, if you are a lender, you're putting out a loan offer and you're saying like, I'm offering to give 1 Bitcoin to this collection, for example. And then a borrower can take you up to it. And now you have like one borrower, one lender. If the borrower repays, then you get back their collateral. If the borrower does not repay, the lender gets the collateral. It's like as simple as that. So there is really no like risk involved other than like the lender potentially getting the collateral instead of the Bitcoin. But that's like just the peer-to-peer risk. There's no protocol risk in this sense.
And who's the arbiter of like say something goes wrong? Like who do they turn to?
So it is all just enforced on chain. So it's a non-custodial product.
Okay.
We don't take custody of any funds.
Right.
We are using something called DLCs, discrete log contracts. It's basically a dumb version of a smart contract on Bitcoin. DLCs were introduced to Bitcoin back in 2017.
Yeah.
And it's actually a pretty straightforward technology.
Wizard Sardine or Liana, they do DLCs, don't they? Wizard Sardine, Kevin Lurk?
I'm not too sure, but yeah, DLCs have been around for a longer time now. And it's like on layer 1 Bitcoin, it's basically like an escrow where you can have something called predetermined outcomes. So in our case, we're saying like, hey, this escrow holds your funds during the loan, and then either the borrower or the lender will get the collateral.
Right,
so,
okay.
Pretty straightforward.
So how do you make money?
So we take a fee, we take basically a cut of the generated interest. So we as a protocol also, we don't take a fee if there is a default happening. So if the borrower does not repay, because we believe like we want to create a platform where we incentivize sort of borrowers to repay their loans, because at the end of the day, the lender usually wants to make a yield. A lot of lenders are actually also using it because they want to get the collateral. But we only take a protocol fee if the borrower repays their loan and then they pay interest and we take a cut of the interest.
Okay, what do you mean by that? The lenders actually want to get hold of the collateral?
So, for example, I'm lending on Liquidium. There's a lot of borrowers, a lot of lenders. I'm, for example, more on the lender side, and I'm doing loans on OMBs, for example, because I really like OMBs.
Is this a ordinals catalog or ordinals collection?
Yeah, it's an ordinal collection.
Okay.
It's called Ordinal MaxiBiz, and it's like one of the blue chip OG collections. And like I'm actively doing loans on OMBs because if the borrower does not repay, I will get the OMB. So I'm actually pretty happy about that because I want to accumulate more OMBs. And if the borrower does repay, I get interest. So that's also cool. So like it's a win-win for me.
And will OMBs, obviously they'll exist on chain in 5 years' time. And like, do you think the belief in that project will exist in 5 years' time or 10 years' time?
That's a great question. And I think like since NFTs or originals are so uncertain, that's the reason why on Liquidium the loan terms are very short. So usually it's like a 7-day or a 14-day loan.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's really short. So like most of our borrowers are like they see an opportunity in the market, they go to Liquidium, they click on borrow, they use their collateral, and they get a loan within 10 minutes. And then they use the liquidity to trade their opportunity or whatever, and then they repay the loan and sort of make money with that.
Whoa, so it's not necessarily about using this money for real world stuff. It's kind of like degeneracy, like in a way.
In a way, we have both things. So we have people that are actually using it. Like we had one guy calling us and he was like, I needed a car battery. My bank wasn't fast enough to give me a loan, so I took one on Liquidium, and then I was able to fix my car battery with that.
Well, and then sold the Bitcoin for cash or something, or paid in Bitcoin for that thing?
Yeah, no. Swapped it for USD on an exchange, and then sort of got it that way.
And because their store of wealth is in that collection,
Correct.
They need to make it liquid. So in a way, you give a liquidity off ramp for people through a loan.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they don't have to sell their assets.
So it's 7 days later, once he paid for his car battery to be fixed, he settled the loan.
Exactly.
And what was the interest that typically someone pays? What did this guy pay?
So the interest rate is also quite high because the lenders are obviously expecting a high interest rate on a high risk asset.
Yeah.
So we're seeing around 2% interest on the loan duration.
Okay.
So that's like 2% in 14 days of time. So it's like quite high on the year, but since it's mostly short-term loans, it actually works out for our borrowers because our borrowers expect to make more money with the liquidity than 2%.
Right.
So actually they end up profiting from these.
Wow, this is such degen games.
It is a degen game. Yeah, it's for degens, by degens. But also, obviously, we have the long-term vision of making it more accessible for more people, and not only focus on ordinals and runes and so on.
Yeah.
But really, like build an Aave on Bitcoin,
Okay.
like a proper peer-to-pool protocol, where you can get any asset against any asset, and have like longer loan durations, lower interest rates, and so on.
Wow, okay.
So that's sort of the long-term vision, and everything we're doing is one step closer to that.
Okay, and just to go back to that OMB example again, so you want that OMB collection or a picture in that collection, and you're willing to take a loan out against that. No, not loan out against that. They're willing to take a loan out against it. You're hoping the price of OMB will fall, so their loan gets liquidated, so you get the artwork or whatever it may be. Is that right?
I'm not even hoping that the price will fall. I just hope that the borrower does not repay. Because if the price doesn't fall and the borrower doesn't repay, I'm even better off, right? Like, and I basically get it as a discount.
At a massive discount.
Yeah.
Like a 80% discount or something.
Yeah, like the LTVs are around like 70 to 80% usually, so I would get it like at a 20% discount or something if the borrower does not repay. So that would be quite good actually.
So you're just growing your collection through this smart way of doing it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Hate to bring up legality, but how legal is this kind of thing? It sounds so like murky, gray zone sort of thing.
That's a great question actually, and so the whole thing that we are building, like we as a platform, we don't facilitate any loans in a way where we control anything, right? Like the only thing we do is we basically have the platform for the people, where people can get into contracts. Like a lender can agree on something with the borrower. It's not up to us. Like we are not in the decision-making process.
Yeah.
Which borrower works with which lender.
Right.
We are just giving the people the accessibility that they can negotiate on themselves on something.
Okay.
So we are basically the platform to connect people.
So you can wash your hands of it, right? There's no trace back to you guys. Because are you watching what's happening in the US at the moment? With, the Samurai developers being arrested, Phoenix pulled out. I know Roger Ver was arrested, but obviously that was completely different. But does that concern you at all that these DeFi degenerate games, as we're calling them, they could backfire in some way on something which does look to an outsider to be like a risky, perhaps murky protocol?
I mean, at the end of the day, what we're doing is really not more risky than, or like, I guess, in a way, even safer than what a bank does to customers. Because
but banks have licenses and laws and regulations to follow. Like,
right,
you don't have those things. That's my concern, right?
Yeah.
Is that what happens if this does get bigger? Like, does this at all concern you, like, later on down the line? Of course, like, cyberpunk ideology, we're trying to create new tools.
Yeah.
But does that worry you at all?
So there is, in my opinion, there has to happen more clear regulation in this space. Right now, as you said, it is sort of a gray area because there is really no laws by the government for non-custodial products like this. And I think there should be more regulation or more clear laws and rules specifically tailored towards non-custodial products or decentralized products, because it is very different, because we don't take custody of any funds. It's all sort of enforced on chain, where we don't control any outcomes, which makes it a very difficult question legally. Who should can sort of control the risk? Is it it is the blockchain at the end of the day, but there is no rules for it, right?
There's no arbiter.
So I think there should be a lot of regulation happening.
Yeah.
And we see some countries that are pushing for it. But yeah, it does concern me to some degree that there is still no regulation around it, and it's still a gray area.
Yeah. Okay. Super interesting, man. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or should we leave it there?
No, I think that was a great questions, and I also like to bring up the legal part of it, of course, because at the end of the day, we all want to succeed in the space. We want Bitcoin to grow as a pie, and for us, the big mission is to just bring more technology, bring DeFi to Bitcoin, so you can actually make use of your assets on the mother chain. Because we have seen it on other chains, we need to bring it to the layer one.
So did you come from crypto back to Bitcoin?
Yeah, we started actually on Stacks. Stacks is like a side chain to Bitcoin.
Yep.
It has more programmability, but at the end of the day, it's not Bitcoin. And people, I think Bitcoin is the one cryptocurrency that will survive long term. So having more functionality on Bitcoin is quite important if you want Bitcoin to be a financial ecosystem.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck on your. You're not Dennis, you're Robin.
I'm Robin. Yeah. No worries.
Should we do that again? Thank you so much, Robin. So, and I really hope you get your OMB.
Appreciate it.
Can I see the one you want? Can I see the one that you want? The is it a picture or is it?
Sure. Yeah, I can.
Can I find it on mine or just
yeah.
to see it?
I'll just Google it. Ordinal Max.
I don't know where Dennis came from. I'm really sorry, mate.
No worries.
I've been interviewing a lot of people today.
Yeah, so these guys are the Ordinal Mexicans.
Oh, I recognize these. Do you want to show the camera as well? Is there one specifically that you want?
It's just a Google search. I'm fine, honestly, with anything. The price of them, the floor price is around 0.4 Bitcoin at the moment.
But it's 0.4 Bitcoin for one of these.
For one OMB, yeah. And then these red eyes, for example, they're sitting at 5 Bitcoin or something like that, because there's only 100 of them. It's one of really the OG collections that everybody wants to get into.
5 Bitcoin. In layman's terms, that's over 200K.
Sorry?
That's over 200K.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I mean, it's today I think it's still 300K.
Yeah, I can also show you on Liquidium, on our app right now, if you want to borrow against an OMB, a red eye OMB, you can get 2.12 Bitcoin right now in 10 minutes as a loan. You just click borrow, choose your OMB as collateral, and then you get 2.12 Bitcoin, and you pay 2.9% interest, and you have a loan for 18 days. So that's kind of how it works. Like you choose your collateral and then you can borrow against it.
Shit. Okay, this is a whole weird, wild world out there. Good for you, Robin. Best of luck on the OMB. I'm going to keep stacking sats, but you do your thing. That's cool.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks for the interview.
One more handshake and away we go.
Yeah.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Bitcoin education website Plan B Network and to the British Bitcoin exchange Coin Corner. Subscribe now for more interviews and more behind the scenes content.